Hey guys, it's Deborah. I am just prepping here a little bit behind the scenes. I'm going to be multitasking a little bit so I can see your questions. So bear with me a second. We're going to get started. And what I'm doing right now is answering some live questions. So these came from our community members on Instagram. And I've also got one that came over an email question from you, basically all of our community members. So we're broadcasting in several different places on Facebook, on YouTube, and on Instagram Live. So I will tell you, it Truman is here. He wants to be on TV. So just a second, let me give you a little. There we go. All right. He thinks he's going to get a treat from that. He's not so much going to get a treat for that. But I'm going to dive right in. So we're going to do the short and sweet version here. So if you have a question, you can also add it. If I happen not to see it and get to it today, I'll come back to it and we'll add it to the next list. But what I've realized, I think we all know, so it took me a little while, right, to realize that like small 10-minute segments of let's answer your questions, let's get to the bottom of it, and then let's just come back and do it again, as opposed to doing a whole half an hour. So right away, you can distinguish, is there something here I need to know? So here's the questions I'm talking about. We're going to talk about someone who said, I love exercise, but I can't lose weight. Someone who said I've lost 40 pounds in the past year. Congratulations, by the way, on that. But hating my upper arms and belly. Are there tips for loose skin? Then there's Michelle asks, what do I do if you haven't, or what to do if you haven't exercised in a year or more and you have a limiter like plantar fasciitis, which is a foot issue? Melanie asks, I'm more of a solo than a group joiner. How do I keep the boredom at bay from using treadmill and bike and spinning and a rower? In all of those, how do I alternate to change it up? Are there high intensity interval trainings that might incorporate some or all of these that I can use? I love to hike and hit. How do I switch it up? And then last but not least, a question from Junkin62 on Instagram asks, have you ever been overweight? If so, please share some pictures and your story. So that's what I'm answering. Now, right away, should I stay or should I go? Do I have better use of this 10 minutes? So I'm going to dive in and we're going one by one. So the top one is from Liz Harmon Meyer, I believe. So off of Instagram. I love exercise, but I can't lose weight. First of all, it's not really a question. So I'm going to kind of infer what I think the question is, why can't I lose weight if I'm exercising? And the answer to that is complex. So there are a lot of reasons. But number one, we've really got to look at how much are you doing and are you in your sweet spot? So here's what you're going to hear me say a lot, because we've really nailed this down. This response is something like this. You've all heard right now of elimination diets and finding out what's best for your gut. Well, I think probably for the majority of women who are over 50 or over 45, your exercise program needs to go on a diet. So a good kind, all right? Not a starvation diet, but we need to eliminate exercise, do what I call restore before more. That is the number one rule in the after 50 fitness formula for women, is you cannot start doing more and more exercise and expect to feel good and more energy if you're already struggling with exhaustion. If honestly you say, I'm tired all the time, and that's the truth, like you could fall asleep. I think a good measurement is if you went to a movie in the middle of the afternoon and you get into that dark, cool environment, could you go to sleep just as easily as watch the movie? Then you probably are overdoing something, because we should have more energy, more alertness, more focus, more concentration. And that doesn't come from doing more and more and more. It comes from learning when to rest and getting quality exercise when you do start to do more. So my answer is, broad, but the question here is really broad as well. So if you are someone who struggles with that, you've also, after you look at the exercise, you've got to look at Are you using the right exercise nutrition? So many women in 50 and 60 and 70 ranges say, I'm eating healthy, but healthy today is a unique thumbprint experience. And your hormone balance is related to your gut and the micronutrients you absorb, not just that you eat. So we've got to really redefine what's healthy and make sure that's true. And then you've got lifestyle habits that are factors. If you're not sleeping, if you're highly stressed, if you're drinking tons of coffee and or wine, we've got some things to look at there. So there's my one-stop shop answer to a broad question. Number two is, I've lost 40 pounds over the past year, hating my upper arms and belly. So what are tips for loose skin? And right now, I'm going to suggest if you're not weight training, get started. So you really want to help reshape. And then really what you're going to do is topically, you're addressing some of that issue. So it has to do with skin tone. If you've lost 40 pounds or 100 pounds and you're over 40 or 50 or 60 and done it, and yes, we've got lots of people in our community who've done that, you are going to have some loose skin. So surgically would be the continuum way over here for removing that. But until that, making sure that you're eating tons of very colorful vegetables, more than fruit, a little bit of fruit, but remember fruit is also sugar. So we don't want to overdo that. Get your veggies in and get healthy fats. So you've got some things that are helping with the quality of your skin tone. Omega-3s really help with that. Get collagen in and know the difference. Know that collagen is not the same as what helps your muscle. You need protein with amino acids and collagen. Collagen for skin and hair and nails, but will not help your muscles. Muscle building types of protein will not help your collagen needs, right? So you've got to have both. If you're just doing collagen and collagen powder, hello, the muscles are not getting any love and attention. So you got to get those in there. But strength training is a big go-to, and patience. So it will improve over time if it's most recent that you've lost the weight. And then once you're doing that, make sure that you're really hydrating your skin. Use some skin lotion with retinol in it. And you will find these tips actually from my friend, Dr. Anthony Yoon, who's America's holistic skin care doctor. So you can find him on Instagram. He's got awesome posts. He is out there helping you avoid surgery, if at all possible, but he's there in case you need it. So those are some good tips. And then go to flipping50.com and look for, that's Flipping 50 all spelled out, look for the Flipping 50 TV tab, and you can watch all the episodes, but there is one in particular on skin tone after significant weight loss. And Dr. Anthony Yoon was actually the expert I consulted about that, the extra skin and crepey skin. Michelle asks, what do I do if it's been a year and or you've got a limiter? So that's two separate problems, but I'm going to really focus on the limiter. So if you've got plantar fasciitis, first I want you to be aware of something you may not. That may be about hormone issues, gut issues, and a lack of micronutrients. And you may have never been told that or never considered it, but we see that running true. Your micronutrient insufficiency or deficiency is not something that will make you sick, and lethargic in a way that we wouldn't notice it, because we all operate today as if we're tired all the time, unfortunately. So it's acceptable. We all figure that's just the way it is because we're just so busy. But if you've got a lot of that going on, there's going to be breakdown somewhere. So injuries or illnesses, but not necessarily both, are more likely more frequently. So if you're constantly breaking down, something probably you need to look at your micronutrient sufficiency and get that up there. Then when you get started back, I would start with lower impact types of exercise. Super important that you're not doing a lot of running, you're not doing a lot of hill running, and stressing that connection. So if this is your foot, then you've got your heel here. We don't want you, in a position like this going uphill or high on the incline of a treadmill, for instance. So we're stressing that joint right there around the ankle. Super important that we're not doing that. Okay, so let's talk about reentry. If it's been a year since you've really formally exercised, you start slow. And actually, that's such a good place to be because you've already had the opportunity to reset. And hopefully, when exercise goes, you nail nutrition, you nail your lifestyle habits because you have a little more time to focus on them. And sometimes what you can realize by way of having to is that you can get a lot of progress from great nutrition and minimal exercise. And even if you can't exercise because of plantar fasciitis, that eliminates some exercises, but there are dozens that still work. You can swim, you can do deep water walking or jogging, putting a belt on. You don't have to be on the ground. Even walking in the water or doing water aerobics on plantar fasciitis can be problematic. So I get that. You can use a rowing machine. You can use, some people could use an elliptical. You can use a bicycle, recumbent or an upright, outdoors or indoors. You can do all kinds of yoga and Pilates and still do many types of strength training are not outruled because or ruled out because you have plantar fasciitis. It's simply that you might not be able to do deep lunges backward, but you could do side lunges because your feet both stay flat when you're doing a side lunge. Coming back into you're on the balls of your feet and your toes, that would not be ideal for your foot, but there are tons of things you can do when some body part is injured. Generally, you can work another body part. So I hope that helps. That's a little bit more personal and custom depending on you and your needs, but step by step by step, one step at a time, you make sure, does this work? I'm not doing too much. Does this work? I'm not doing too much. Because you can always go forward nice and easy and slow. And that's so much better than just getting stuck going too fast. Okay, I'm conscious of my time, keeping you on track. So we're going to do two more questions and then we're out of here. Melanie asks, I'm more of a solo exerciser than a group person, but she's rotating between treadmill and spin and bike and rower and elliptical and now repeat, right? And I get that. Gets a little fatiguing and tiring mentally, but if you're doing high intensity exercise, absolutely any exercise mode can be high intensity. And you can go from, instead of doing 30 minutes where you're doing it all on one piece of equipment, write out a plan. So first of all, I would say, get your calendar out, write down on Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday and Friday. And maybe you make Monday, this is my elliptical day, but you change the workout every time. So it's not the same because that could be very mentally fatiguing and your body will also catch on. So it's maybe you do 5 minutes of warm up on Monday, the first week of the month, and you do 30 seconds hard and 30 or a minute recovery. You do that for 15 minutes and you do a cool down, short, sweet, but hard. And then on Tuesday, maybe that's your weight day anyway, no cardio. And then on Wednesday, you're doing an exercise bike and you're doing a little bit longer. Maybe you're doing 4.5 minutes of after a warm up, doing 4.5 minutes of kind of moderate steady state. So you're working, but it's not crazy hard. And then 30 seconds of just hard as you possibly can. And you're going to do 5 cycles of that, and then you're going to cool down. So it's still HIIT, but it's different. And maybe on Friday, you do what I call a mashup. You incorporate, I'm going to start on the bike. I'm going to do bike intervals, 1 minute hard, 1 minute easy for 10 minutes. The next 10 minutes, I'm going to move to the elliptical. The next 10 minutes, I'm going to move to the rower, and so you're always cross training and doing something different and unique. And mentally you're stimulated and your body is still stimulated. So there are lots of ways that you can do that. But what you don't want to do is kind of get on the treadmill, have a magazine or a book that you can read and just be slogging away because that's really not helping hormone balance at all. And occasionally get outside and do it. So any exercise can be HIIT and you can incorporate different machines on different days into your HIIT. You don't have to necessarily use a different one. You can do one and do a different one and then mix up 2 or 3 of them. So it's a great question. And last but not least, this is it. And this will be the shortest answer I probably give you. So have you ever been overweight? And if so, please share some pictures in your story. So, you know, I think overweight is relative, right, to all of us. So if you're not at your ideal body weight, I think we could all say, sure, I've been overweight. This right now, honestly, is not my ideal body weight. It may to anyone else look like this is great, but you, I know me. We all know when we're at our best and optimal weight, we feel great. And this isn't it for me. But to back up a little bit further, have I ever had a significant weight problem? Not so much, but probably in my late 20s. And I say not so much relative, right, to other people. I mean, it was probably weighed 10 more pounds than I wanted to. So my most significant weight gain was during pregnancy. I think I gained somewhere between 36 and 38 pounds. But depending on how healthfully you go through your pregnancy, how healthful you are prior, and knock on wood, Mother Nature is on your side, and all things go well, you bounce back pretty quickly. And I did. I was one of those lucky ones. But I think what you want to look at is, have I had a 50 or 100 pound weight loss journey? And I haven't. I have worked for 35 years, however, with people who have had significant weight losses. So there are lots of ways to become an expert. And unfortunately, sometimes losing your weight is not the best way to become an expert because that's a study of one. So if it's only you, there's not a great thing to fall back on. Your genetics are different. Your history of getting to that point were different. What's going to be the best healthy diet for you to follow in for a while, but probably isn't going to work forever, is different. It's a unique journey for everyone. So honestly, I didn't have a lot of pictures of that period of time when, I was probably struggling with what we all would have called, is that over exercise, is that bulimia, is that, kind of pendulum swinging between eating disorder, and it came from more bloat, more water retention, those types of things. And for decades since then, I've worked with young college students, young college athletes, many of them women in sports that make them self-conscious, diving, cross-country runners, track athletes, probably among those that struggled the most, gymnastics, and in our campus where I was working, those were the most predominant, and I saw it a lot in our health studies courses. I used to teach, 2 to 4 sections of that at a time, and those were university wide. And that's a little off topic if you're in the middle of your 50s, but I think it's relevant because that's where we all were, 30 and 35 years ago, when that's where I started. Many of you were also going through the same thing. That's where we all got the ideas in our head about dieting, about nutrition, about if we deprive, then we'll probably lose weight, which is completely wrong and which has completely backfired on a lot of us. So it's much more about now self-care. It's much more about coming from being at your optimal weight and, in fact, not looking at weight, but looking at how strong are you? How able are you to do the things that you want to do with the people that you want to do them with? That's the important piece. So hopefully this was helpful. How many times do I work out? Great question. Most days a week, I do some kind of movement. Monday is always a recovery day. It's a rest day. So Monday morning, I believe for our cafe members, I pop in and do some live things, or for a group like the 20-a-day Kickstart, I did yoga with them for 10 minutes. That was it. That was my exercise. And that's true usually of my Mondays. So that's an example, but otherwise I will move daily. But say yesterday it was 45 minutes on a spin bike and done. The day before that it was, or the day before that was strength training for about 30 minutes. That gives you an idea. So, Howdy from Texas. I'm sure it's hot. How many days to strength training? How many days to do cardio? Great questions. And that's for DJS Bauer 3. But you're looking for the conventional and the traditional exercise prescription as opposed to the hormone balancing one as you stay that question. And it's just not a fit anymore. So we don't use a quota. So I would have about 4 questions to ask you back about how do you feel? How much energy do you have? How much are you sleeping? What signs and symptoms do you have that your hormones are not in balance? Are you digesting well? Are you eliminating well? Do you have tons of energy? Do you wake up feeling rested? Do you sleep well at night? And several other questions are really key to me helping you with that question. I can answer the strength training one easily. The ideal is two times a week for strength training. Make it count. Do a Monday and a Thursday. And not specifically those days, but make it count, meaning, Monday, Wednesday, Friday is not better. For adults over the age of 45 to 50, we know that we need more rest than we need work. And this doesn't mean, oh, you have to baby things. No, it just means that if you get the rest, you can actually do the harder work. I work harder probably than the majority of the 20 somethings, 30 somethings, and 40 somethings in the gym. Sorry, morning voice. And that's because I don't do it as often as they do it. I certainly am not in there between sets checking my phone for 2 minutes. That drives me crazy, actually. That's a whole nother topic. But twice a week and make it count. Reach fatigue. And it's not about the time you do strength training. It's about whether you reach fatigue. Muscular fatigue is a must if you're going to get results. And how long per week? Again, that's a loaded question because if you're fatigued and I say you need to exercise 3 times a week cardio, and I would never say that. That's just not the way we do personal exercise prescription anymore. So 1 or 2 times a week of interval training. And again, because you need recovery between interval training. Something good isn't great if you do it every day. So really important for you to realize, acknowledge, consider what's best for me right now in this moment I'm in. Am I already getting results? Is what I'm doing giving me some pretty good results? Then you might want to do more of it. But what we have a tendency to do is if what we're doing is not working, we tend to do more of it. And that's craziness, people. We've got to find what's working and helps me start to feel better. And you're getting a little bit of results. Then you might dial it up and do it a little more frequently and see, does that give me better results or not? But if you change everything and you just do tons of exercise, that is not the key. You're not a calories in and calories out equation. You are hormone balancing. That controls your weight and how you burn fat and whether or not you store fat. So super important for you to realize what is the role of exercise in your weight loss journey. For many of us, it's a catalyst to eating better and sleeping better and dealing with stress better. And if you decrease stress, you decrease cortisol, your body will shed weight easier. If you increase your exercise enough, but not too much, you will increase your sleep. And you will have the right hormones that will help you shed weight easier and develop muscle tone more easily. So hopefully that helps. I'm going to get you out of here and on to your day. I'd love it if you continue to answer questions. Share this if it's been valuable. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already, or subscribe. Having a hard time with that. At Facebook and or at Instagram. We're all over. And most importantly, flipping50.com, all spelled out, and join our community. Sometimes some of the things I share are only at and by email to our subscribers. So I'd love to see you over there. Have a great day. Have a great 4th of July weekend and be safe and get some exercise in. Have a great one. Happy 4th, right back to you.